Happy Valentine's Day, everyone! The results are in, and we have the new standings for the favorite ships of the RWBY fandom. And I gotta say, some of these were quite surprising. The popular ships are still, of course, popular and made the top 10 list, but it's interesting to see how things change after one season. As characters have different interactions, people start talking about certain ships and they rise in popularity, and others who didn't have as much interaction really seem to drop in popularity. I gotta say, not a single ship who ranked in last year's top 10 held the same ranking in this year's top 10. Everything was switched up, which also means, spoiler warning, there has been a dethroning of Bumblebee. It is no longer the most popular ship in the RWBY series after Volume 7. Look forward to seeing how things change as volumes continue, but I gotta say I'm a little bit sad because I did like Bumblebee being the top ship, but, you know, of course it still ranks high up there, but it's still interesting to see how things turned out. Now, this race wasn't exactly, you know, an easy win by any means, as there were quite a few close competitors in this poll. Now, the first place one was ahead by 53 votes, but between spaces 2 and 3, there was only 5 votes separating them, which may not sound like much, but to give some context, there was almost 2,700 people who voted in this poll, meaning we had over 8,000 votes cast. Each person got 3 votes, and there was over 8,000. So number 2 had 800 votes for that ship, and number 3 had 795. So them only being separated by 5 votes is pretty significant. But anyways, let me get into the overall results of this poll and who are the new favorite ships of the RWBY fandom. Now for this year I want to start with the top 15 rather than the top 10, as it encompasses a couple more of the popular ships that actually did drop in ranking this year. And also starting out with a pretty close race with numbers 15 and 14, as they were only separated by 2 votes themselves. Coming in at number 15 with 173 votes, we have Seamonkeys. Neptune and Sun, characters we haven't actually seen in almost 2 full volumes. The last time we saw them was Volume 6, Episode 1, haven't heard anything from them since. We are going to get Before the Dawn, which is going to introduce or reintroduce Sun and Neptune as they're adventuring in Vacuo along with Team Coffee, so we'll get more information on them. Possibly their ship will rise in the rankings from then, but number 14 is the real surprising one for me, actually. With 175 votes, we have Lancaster. Ruby and Jean, a ship that ranked number 6 last year, has dropped to number 14 this year. They didn't have that much interaction in Volume 7, but it was enough to cause them to drop this far. We'll see more interaction of them most likely next volume, and we'll see how it changes after that, but it's still surprising that they dropped this far down. There's obviously still a lot of people who love this ship, but there's people who love other ships more, it seems. And Jean's even getting a little bit less love, as coming in at number 13 is another one that I was surprised dropped out of the top 10. We have White Knight with 207 votes. Weiss and Jean, personally, one of the ones I see as more likely. I like White Rose, I like Bumblebee, but I do support White Knight as well because it seems like something that would work very well. It's been building towards that kind of since the beginning of the series, as Jean never really saw Weiss as an heiress, just someone that he was attracted to, but Weiss was a bit bratty, etc. And seeing how their characters have evolved, I'm, hoping that this one rises up the ranks yet again to eventually get back into the top 10. But for now, top 15 is still pretty good. Next up we have another one of the last year's top 10. Coming in with 227 votes, previously ranking number 9, now ranking number 12, Cold Murder, or Snowbird if you prefer, Crow and Winter. They really didn't have that much interaction this volume, but we did get to see a little tidbits of Winter chewing out Crow and, seeing Winter's badassness, plus having her hair down. I'm surprised that her ship didn't raise up higher up the list, but, it's still interesting to see because Crow does have a couple other ships that raise up this list as well. As also, he ranks number 11 along in another ship. With 263 votes, we have Hunter's Dream, Crow and Summer, an interaction that we haven't seen at all, but we did get a little bit more information on Summer Rose, as well as some more visuals of Summer, coming in at number 11 with Hunter's dream. Like, I'm happy to see that Crow's kind of, you know, and quite a few ships on this list. I'm sure most of you know where some, or what some of the other ships are in the top 10 already, but I love seeing that Hunter's Dream is getting some more love as well, because I think this was, at one point, a canon ship, that, you know, Ruby might actually be the daughter of these two. We'll wait and see if that's actually the case, but I love that other people like this ship as well. But number 10 is one that I'm really excited about being on this list. We have Roman Ice Cream with 271 votes. Roman and Neo, because of course our favorite ice cream girl, Neo, is back for Volume 7 and is up to her nefarious deeds, plus the only one actually successful in stealing a relic on the not protagonist side. I can't really say that she's out part of Salem's faction, because especially with the look that she gave Cinder after Cinder just took the relic, I don't think she's supporting that anymore, but, you know, she's wearing Roman's little fedora, so maybe Roman will come back next volume. I may have some theories about that coming out at some point in the near future. So, yeah, hopefully this will become canon, or will be confirmed canon, and Roman will return. I still have faith, don't judge me for it. Now we have number 9, one that also dropped down the rankings from last year, but still made the top 10, one that is constantly in battle with one of the more popular ships in the fandom. We have Black Sun at number 9 with 332 votes. You know, Blake and Sun have had a lot of good interaction, and especially after Volumes 4 and 5, I'm sure this was one of the most popular ships in the fandom. I mean, it still is at number 9, like, you can't scoff at that in any means, but it was higher up the list, and they haven't really had any interaction. As I said, we haven't seen Sun since episode 1 of Volume 6, and I hope we see more interaction of Blake and Sun, because they really did have good chemistry together. With Blake, her more reserved and moody attitude, and Sun, his outgoing and very bubbly attitude, they complemented each other quite well. Though I do personally support Bumblebee, I do like Black Sun, or Eclipse, if you prefer that ship name as well. It is a pretty badass a ship name, I gotta say. But yeah, hopefully we'll get to see more interaction. Maybe we'll get more information in before the dawn. Maybe Sun will talk about Blake a little bit. Who knows? But coming in at number 8 is my favorite ship, my OTP, something that I hope becomes canon in Volume 8, Birds of a Feather, with 372 votes. Robin Hill and Crow Bronwyn. Now, yes, there hasn't really been any hints that this ship is going to become canon. They didn't have that much interaction throughout the volume. They did have some, and they both are probably, unfortunately, bonding over, you know, their remorse of watching Clover die, or at least Robin finding out that he died. But, you know, I hope this becomes canon, because Crow needs the support, and I think him and Robin could work very well together. So I'm glad to see other people support this ship as well, and we'll see how it does after Volume 8. Next up, for numbers 7 and 6, we have another close ranking. Both of them actually ships with RWBY. Coming in at number 7, which is no surprise after this volume, we have Nuts and Dholtze. Penny and RWBY shipped together, getting 443 votes. With Penny's return in Volume 7, it's no surprise that this ship had a return as well. Penny and RWBY are honestly adorable together, and they are just... I'm so happy that Penny has joined with Team RWBY and Team Juniper after Volume 7. Just the smile on Pietro's face at seeing Penny have friends is just adorable. As well as, you know, there's Penny with RWBY, and also Weiss is now thrown in there as well. You know, little White Rose sandwich there, as conveniently enough, number 6, coming in with only 3 more votes than Nuts and Dholtze at 446, is White Rose. Another one that I kind of support as well, but something that's been shipped since the beginning of RWBY. Since seeing these characters, I'm sure people have, after seeing their interactions, shipped them together right off the bat with Bumblebee, White Rose, and coming up with all the ship names, one of the original ones, and is still ranking very high up there, even though actually White Rose didn't have as much interaction in Volume 7 as, you know, some of the other pairings of, you know, Blake, Yang, Weiss, and RWBY. So it's interesting to see that it's still as popular as it is, and I'm glad that it is too. And now we get to number 5, the real OG ship in Arcos, coming in with 477 votes, Jean and Pyrrha. one that we obviously have not really seen in person, at least since Volume 3, but we've gotten hints at it throughout the volumes. In Volume 4 with the recording of Pyrrha, and especially in Volume 6 when we saw Pyrrha's statue, and who we believe is Pyrrha's mother. Jean having that interaction, getting a little bit of closure, bringing back all of those memories of Pyrrha and her, relationship with Jean, how that evolved, and, Jean having the kiss of death, etc. But I'm really happy that this ship is still holding strong. We may never see Pyrrha again. There's a possibility with reincarnation being a thing in RWBY, so it's not impossible. We'll see what ends up happening, but I'm glad that this is holding its own, and I hope it continues as one of the favorite ships into the future. But coming in at number 4 is a ship that I thought would have cracked the top 3, but surprisingly it didn't, though it still got 674 votes, quite a jump from number 5 with 477, but now at number 4 we have Rose Garden, Oscar, and RWBY. Minus Ozpin in the mix, of course, but this is a ship that actually had a couple cute moments in Volume 7. It's no surprise that it jumped up the list the way it did, but I'm curious to see how it'll evolve in the future. I really do like the characters together, but of course, as everyone else points out, the Ozpin factor, especially now that he's returned, is a major monkey wrench in that ship. So we'll see what Volume 8 has in store and how Oscar and Ozpin, fare. If their minds end up melding, I don't know how much hope it has, but I'm glad there's still a lot of people who like this ship as well. Now, before we get to the top 3, which I'm pretty sure most of you can guess what ships are the top 3, but see if you can guess in the comments below what order they're in before I actually reveal what it is. Bumblebee is not number 1, but did it rank 3rd, 2nd? And what about the other 2 ships? Where exactly do they stand? And what is the most popular ship so far? I do want to give some shoutouts to the honorable mentions that ranked 16 to 20th, as there were some interesting ones in there as well. At number 16, we have Crosshairs, Coco, and Velvet. I'm glad to see some of Team Coffee making it this high up on the list and getting this much love. I'm sure After the Fall had some influence on that. We got to find out more about their team. I'm sad that Cinnabon didn't actually make the top 20, one that I personally support, of Velvet and Yatsuhashi, but I'm glad Coco and Velvet are making it this far up here representing Team Coffee. We also got at number 17, Springtime, which is Robin Hill and Fiona Time. This is one I'm really happy to see because Fiona's love for Robin is real in the series. Maybe not romantic love, but she definitely supports Robin and loves her as a person, and they're just it's a cute ship together. Gotta protect the sheep girl, especially after Tyrion attacked her and everything. I'm glad to see that they are where they are on the list. Then we also have another member of last year's top 10 ranking at number 18 with Mercury, Emerald, and Mercury. They didn't really have any screen time at all in Volume 7, which is unfortunate. Maybe we'll see them in Volume 8. It doesn't look like Salem Citadel is actually on top of the giant black whale, so I don't think we'll see Emerald and Mercury being dragged along with this entire fight, but we might see a little cut to Salem Citadel at some point. Maybe Emerald and Mercury are finally making a break for it. Bandits on the run together, so we'll see how their ship does in the future. Might raise back up. And it's no surprise that Ironwood being introduced or reintroduced in Volume 7 has at least one of his ships in the top 20. We have Tin Feathers, Crow and Ironwood, which all that took was that one hug in Episode 2 and the shippers were off to the races, I'm sure, because that was, although an awkward hug, it was sincere. They do have some trust, or I should say, did have some trust. That ship now is probably, well, to be fair, this ship is probably going to end with one of them penetrating the other, though it's either going to be with bullets or a blade, because Crow's out for Ironwood's blood now, as Ironwood's kind of gone off as rocker, so, there might be some hope in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was a bad joke as well. But getting into number 20, we have one that I actually didn't expect to rank as high as it did. White Wolf, Weiss and Maro. After they had their little scuffle and Maro, got completely owned by Weiss, their ship actually made it this far up the list. I don't know, do they have really that much interaction? I would have thought, you know, the cats and dogs ship of Maro and Blake would have gotten a little bit more love because, you know, cats and dogs. But no, the Eris and the Faunus, Weiss and Maro. I like that this ship made it as far as it did. But now we get into the top 3. So let's see if you guys did actually guess it right. Coming in at number 3 with 795 votes, we have Fair Game. Crow and Clover. Unfortunately, a ship that will never be after the events of episode 12, but it definitely is one that has a lot of love from the fandom and a lot of love from a lot of people. Who knows if it could have been canon, but unfortunately, no one is immune from death, no matter their orientation, and rest in peace, Clover. Hopefully, your good fortune will pass on to Crow and he will supposed to be happy some point in life. Please let Crow be happy and don't just kill him off. But I'm glad to see that this ship is as high up on the list. But it is not number 2 or number 1. Number 2, as you all know now, with 800 votes, is Bumblebee. The favorite ship for a long time that has now been dethroned. But who knows? If it does become canon in the future, guaranteed it will skyrocket back up the polls. As with number 1, did become canon this volume, with Renora having 853 votes. Team Sloth is now at the top of the rankings after they had their, you know, kind of award-winning kiss, I gotta say, at, you know, Robin's preemptive victory party, but had a little bit of a rocky going of it after that point in Volume 7. Even before that point, let's be honest, they were in a bit of a rough patch because Ren seems to be acting really weird. Nora is wanting to help him, but they haven't really been able to talk it out. Ren's not opening up. That is all being bottled up and saved for Volume 8. I'm looking forward to the developments in this relationship. Please do not let the Juniper death theory come real, because we don't need this to die just after getting canonized. So hopefully Nora and Ren will have a little bit of a happier time in the future as well, you know. And I say all of these ships having happy and positive things, assuming they survive Salem's onslaught, but we'll see what ends up happening. Are these results what you guys expected with the favorite ships? Are there any really unexpected ones that you saw rise up into the top 15 or top 20? Or I will also link the results in the description below so you guys can go there, see how other ships you may have favorited got up the list. I'm surprised that there were quite a few people also voting for Nuts and Volts, that being Tyrion and Watts. You know, a ship that I actually didn't include on the poll. I will be sure to include it next time around, but I'm glad to see there were some other ships in there, as well as those crazy few of you who voted for Shopkeep, shipped with Shopkeep. You're treading into dangerous waters there. That ship will destroy the world. And there is no ship name for it. I suggested Shopception, you know, Inception of Shopkeeps, etc. But if you have any other names for it, let me know in the comments below. We'll make Shopception become top of the list next year. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe if you want to take part in some more polls and see some more RWBY content, including the Phoenix Festival tournament that's going to be going on throughout the entire break between Volume 7 and 8, and more RWBY theories, etc. So hopefully you guys will look forward to that. Enjoy that. Subscribe if you have not already. Follow me on Twitter at PhoenixKnight7, and I'll see you guys in the next video.